There was an author back in the 1920s saying that the Everglades had been destroyed. What a shame, you know. They're nothing like they used to be. And that was back in the 1920s. So what would he think about today?
I find Florida to be really, really fascinating. I mean, right now we're here at Rookery Bay, and just on this little boardwalk, we've seen scrub, we've seen mangrove communities, we've seen salt marsh prairies. Just a little bit of everything is here. I like to look at the little things in life, the little things in nature. So I'm the person who says, oh, look at that interesting lichen, or there's a tiny bug in a web. You know, to me, that little thing tells a whole story.
In the Everglades, you have to sort of get down into it. You have to, go to the water's edge. You have to get up close to things. Take a branch or a tree and just sit and be a little ant and just walk along the contours of it and take the time to see that the angles and curves that are in the average tree are the same angles and curves that are in the human body. And those same angles and curves are in a river. And those same angles and curves are in the universe. They're everywhere if you look for them.
In a sense, I am bringing order to nature, which is, some would say, very chaotic, but nature has a lot of patterns as well. It just depends on how you look at it. I mean, some would look at this and say, this is so chaotic compared to my manicured landscape, but really it's not that chaotic. I mean, there are purposes and patterns going on here that we just don't know because we don't live in it. We don't see that. I used to collect things as a child. So in a sense, I'm collecting images, and even some of my images are of little collections of things.
My job description is to go out and just sit and look. And so I realize it's a real privilege as an artist to have that unique amount of time to sit outside looking at nature. I've been following a Spanish pilot named Don Francesco Maria Celli. He came to Florida to chart Florida in the 1750s. The first place where he landed or anchored on Florida was at Cape Sable. That was the first time I had been there and seen the ribbon of beautiful white beach stretching along the southernmost mainland of the United States, which I had never really seen the Everglades from that view, from the water from Florida Bay. It was exciting for me to see a whole coastline with nothing built on it, to imagine the Florida coastline as it was, many years ago. I don't necessarily equate a white sandy beach with the Everglades, but it was very special. It was jewel-like.
The art itself doesn't exist in a vacuum. It was inspired by these incredible places. Often, especially with water as a metaphor, what we see often is not the actual thing, but it's what the lens permits us to see. And painting is another lens. You see in art, in poetry and writing, it's through this lens of culture that maybe you see something in a way that you didn't understand before. We're in a little matrix that's permeated by water. Even the matrix itself is full of water. It has water passing through it. We have this heavy air that's like water. And as we see here, we have things in the air biting us. The water is rushing somewhere, and the things are floating, and things are kind of brewing up from the bottom. It's like being inside a petri dish or lava lamp or something.
People always say to me, "Oh, the light in southern France." I said, the light in Florida is many times more beautiful to me than painting in southern France. The towering clouds, thunderstorm clouds in Florida are more magnificent and majestic than any mountain I've ever seen. And the light hitting the mangroves as the sun's setting is electric.
I used to read Bartram, and I used to think of the exotic. I like travel. The rest of my work is about travel and going to the sense of the picturesque and exotic. So I used to think of painting Shalimar, places in Kashmir. After we read Bartram's notes, he was writing about North Florida. So it's like, the exotic is here. It's right in now what am I going to do? I live in the midst of the exotic. So I realized that all along I had arrived to this place that I sort of longed for.
The one thing that's left in the museums after all the people are gone is their artwork. The Calusa Indians, which this river is named after, the Caloosahatchee, there's nothing left of the civilization except for some mounds and some artifacts, which are very rare. And those artifacts are mostly art. I don't think any of my artwork will be here 3,000 years from now, but it's nice to know that when we look back in time, we don't see all the people that moved the earth around and moved the people around and moved the governments around. We see the people who just quietly sat and made something beautiful.
If people connect and have emotional responses, they will then want to protect and conserve. Because without nature, really, we have nothing. I mean, our environment is all we have. And if you want to look at it from a dollars and cents point of view, if we have no environment, we don't live. We can't produce, we can't be capitalists, we can't raise our families. We have to, so we have to think about those things. And we have to think about the future.
If someone feels the same excitement I do and the just love of the landscape, and if they can share this feeling, this feeling of immersion, then they naturally will want to learn more, and they will naturally just shy away from things once they learn that would threaten this landscape. It's like a friend. You wouldn't want anything to happen to this friend, but you have to become a friend first.
When I first started painting, when I returned from Europe and came back to Florida, everyone wanted my paintings of Europe. And as I painted palmettos and scrub, and it was something that people didn't really attach value to when they looked at paintings of Florida. Now, people, they want my Florida paintings. And to me, I can see that as a positive symbol that Florida is losing its self-esteem problem of thinking that beautiful places are somewhere else, that we're starting to look at ourselves and realize that this is really a beautiful place to protect. And if art can be a part of that, that would be wonderful.